Our next storyteller is Mary. And she, like a lot of storytellers who agreed to grace the stage up here, are a bit nervous. And I just had a long conversation with a gentleman who's going to join us on stage in Cincinnati on Saturday. And he really had to be kind of talked through the nerves of it all. And so I'm really excited to see what Mary brings to the stage. Mary, if you don't know who she is, she's an avid member of the Bleeders Women's Writers Club, who we've got amazing turnout here tonight. So if you're a Bleeder, please put your hands in the air, make yourself present. There it is. Yeah, look at those riders out there, amazing. She seeks to blend her love of travel with her love of motorcycles by renting motorcycles and riding both nationally and internationally throughout the mountains of, listen to this folks, Italy, Switzerland, France, Spain, Germany, Austria, Slovenia, and Croatia. She is here to talk about her 2017 trip to Iceland. So, please welcome Mary to the stage.
Thanks, Susan, for the introduction and for everyone for attending. I'm here today to storytell about my 2017 trip to Iceland. By that time, I'd been riding for about a little over 3 years. My first bike was a 2014 Triumph Bonnie buddies with Season. And back in 2015, we had taken a trip out to Utah and Colorado. So I really think that I was a bit overconfident in that I thought that I could, ride wherever and it would be fun. So, why Iceland? A friend of ours had ridden there recently, and she said that it was amazing and suggested that it was a good place to ride. I was having a tough time organizing with motor rental spots in Europe for some shorter bikes, and I was able to locate a good rental spot in Iceland that had some shorter bikes. They had a low seat height BMW 700 GS, which was it was about 31 inches tall in the seat height. My Bonnie was actually a lower suspension, so it was at 28 inches, and I was on my toes in flat shoes on the Bonnie.
What's your
my inseam, I don't know, I'd say maybe 26, 27. So yeah, 31 inches with the low seat height. So I was pretty confident that I could grow 3 inches in the next 3 months. And yeah, so gave it a shot. Additional great things about Iceland was that it's got this ring road, which is this exterior road around the perimeter. That was about 800 miles, so it was looking good for about a 7-day moto trip. They were actually responding to my emails, and my contact's name was Thor, so I knew they were legit. And I tried not to look into potential cons because that's not really a whole lot of fun, doesn't lead you to saying yes to things. So I, was just like, yeah, I think I can do it. Minor setback on that seat height. Let's make this happen. So, relevant background about me, I think, just so you can understand why I'm a bit crazy. I've got these two cute parents, migrated from the Philippines in the 70s. Had my two brothers and I here in Florida, so and like any immigrant parents, they were pretty good at instilling in us that as long as we worked hard at something, we could achieve it. So they're very cute. I've got two older brothers, and growing up, I always wanted to hang out with them. They're awesome. And I was pretty determined throughout my life that the guys were not going to have all the fun. Additional relevant background. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so some badass bitches lead strong female leads. Were going to be my heroes at the time. So like them, I wasn't going to let my size be a setback. Even more specifically, small in stature, I was certain that if I could wield a machine and if I could be skilled enough to wield that machine to do my bidding, I too could defeat the final boss. There's me. This is Iceland. I got back in one piece. So, fast forward a little bit. Here's what it looks like in these shoes, and I brought them with me for scale. So this is the fucking size. This is what I came down to for how I was going to grow 3 inches. Maybe just if we could get a whole other table to fit these fucking shoes on, that would be great. They have a 3-inch platform on the toe. It was not easy to find these. I tried a couple pairs on, and it's probably not easy to find them because they are uncomfortable as shit. So, another issue that I didn't fully consider before saying yes to this trip was that my partner, here's my partner Matt, he's in the audience too, as well as my brothers. We went with his college buddy, Jason. Here's Jason. Who at the time, I thought he was a pretty chill indica kind of dude. I knew that he knew sort of how to ride dirt bikes, and that he rode a Harley back home in Baltimore. Not much else. Didn't seem to be a maniac when I'd met him previously. Turns out this motherfucker is like an expert dirt biker, and believes that anything worth doing is worth doing at 90 miles an hour. So here are Matt and Jason bromancing at a sunset. Here's Jason doing his best Michael Jackson. Don't cancel him for that. And then here's Jason wondering why the fuck I won't just die already so he could fucking rip it with his buddy over here. We get to the rental place, test out the bike. Bike fits, fine. I'm on my toes in these giant fucking shoes. And I realized upon sitting on this motorcycle that the front of this platform does not fit under the shifter of this bike. There's not enough room to fit under a shifter. So we did what anyone would do, and we cut a fucking hole into the side of these shoes so that I could stick the shifter in the side. Motor rental spot. Mine's the white one. I had a white helmet. It was perfect. And there's me cutting a hole in the shoe. Photo of the shoe. This is at the rental place because I couldn't take the motorcycle out without being able to shift. Outside of this frame is a woman just absolutely horrified that Thor is going to let me take this motorcycle out with these shoes on into the Icelandic wilderness, which I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. And they're arguing. They're arguing and they're speaking Icelandic, and the 3 of us fucking know that they're arguing about this. So that's how bad it was. She's so mad. And he's like, the bikes are insured. They're doing what they want. They're paying a lot of money for this. We get going. I have a couple considerations just in case you too need 3-inch platform shoes to ride a GS in Iceland. Your toes are going to touch the floor on flat surfaces only. Do not put your feet down on inclined surfaces, which is very helpful for an island of 130 volcanoes, so if you can imagine what the terrain is like in this place. Careful putting your feet down on gravel or unpaved surfaces because it's really slippery. You can't take a U-turn on tight roads because your toes might not touch the ground if you need to put your feet down. Also, you can't reverse the motorcycle because your toes don't get any traction in these shoes. Lastly, it's difficult to find the hole in the shoe to shift gears. So if you're going up a mountain, shift into second gear before you head uphill, or you're going to be sliding downhill while just fucking trying to find a hole in your shoe the whole time. Learned all of these along the trip. So, finally get going. Shoes functioning as much as it possibly could. Here's our route, which I recreated based on where I knew we stopped. we had our camp gear, we were camping along the way, we're taking a counterclockwise little twirl around Iceland here. So we start in this direction, a little bit southwest. Here is me and Matt and Jason. This is around where our first campsite is. We are fucking thrilled that we just got to get going. Everything's going awesome. Shoes fit. Got the hole going, you know, so I can shift. Going, you know, at least in second gear. And we're happy. First campsite's at a waterfall. The place is beautiful. Everything's going great. It wasn't until the second day, and just so that you know, these X's for your viewing pleasure are where I put my bike down. And there are only 3 of them, I think. I mean, it's kind of a lot, but not considering. So yes, we start out here. Second day is where things get, you know, slightly dicey. We head down this ring road, and we hit a very steep, unpaved mountain road, and amateur hour over here takes the inner line up this switchback. It pulls me in and spits me out onto the interior of this mountain. I have to sell my bike or I'm going into a ditch. I put my left foot down, but I'm on an incline, and if you remember the prior slide, this is a no-no. So I get buried under this bike. Matt, my partner, my hero, saves me. He's able to unbury me from this bike, takes this thing up this hill somehow, because it was pretty fucking steep, while this tour bus waited behind him. We get going again. It's, you know, it's going. I'm a little upset, but we're still moving, right? But I'm learning a couple things about this island at this point, and one is that all of these roads are basically built up on banks. They're really tight. 2-lane roads usually. The shoulders are pretty non-existent. They're built up on banks, so there are gullies on the sides. So just don't go off-road, because you're gonna be in a ditch. You're probably not going to recover. So keeping that in mind. Additionally, Jason, this motherfucker, again, needs to ride at 90 miles an hour. I'm trying to go like 70 miles an hour. Matt's in the middle, trying not to lose our guide in the front while making sure that I don't die behind him. And lastly, I realized that this bike is so huge and top heavy that if it's leaned over too much, if the ground is uneven, I can't upright this bike myself because we got all this camp gear on it. So the guys have to ensure that I am upright with my kickstand up. Kickstand up, putting that up is also difficult in these shoes, by the way. Before they get going, or I just sit there waiting for them to come back for me. Also, at the time, I think since then they've paved more of the ring road, but at the time, most of it was unpaved. Their mountain passes were unpaved. There was a lot of unpaved stuff going on. Not good for the shoes. So we press on. This whole stretch was pretty seamless. The weather was behaving. The views are beautiful. Every time you turn a corner, it looks like something else. Everything's amazing. We saw some black sand beaches in Vic. Camped at another site over here. Head up to this corner again, where again it gets a little bit dicey, and I think that this is probably one of the turning points of our trip. We head into another campsite in this northeast corner, and it's a fjord, so you gotta get in there through a mountain pass. It's isolated through this mountain pass. It's the only way in and out. And when we get into our campsite, I am patiently waiting behind a car on this very loose gravel road, and it's the only car in this whole town. And it's just waiting there. And the second I decide to go around it on the gully side, it decides to go. It pushes me off. I go flying. I actually disconnect from the bike and land in the softest piece of grass, which, you know, is fine, except that I got up and the entire fucking campsite is looking at me. They're just horrified that this tiny Asian girl is running around with these big ass shoes on this big ass bike, threatening their way of living in this tiny little campground. And despite watching me fly off my bike on this pretty safe, closed, safe course at a campsite, we meet this German couple. who recommends that we go hit some of the F-roads in Iceland. Now they are here for about a month. They have shipped in by ferry giant adventure bikes that are reinforced for them to hit all of these highland roads. So the highlands are all the interior of Iceland, really rough roads. They denote how difficult they are by increasing the number of the roads. So the lower the number is going to be the easiest, the higher the more difficult. And here they are. This is our German couple recommending that we hit at least one of the F-roads before we go, and it's going to be F35. And I trust that this woman's not going to lead me wrong, but she also was there to see a bunch of like CrossFit strong women in Iceland, and I was like, oh, she's pretty intimidating. But and she was like pretty confident that I could do it, even though she watched me fly off my bike at this campsite. So I'm like, okay, maybe she knows what she's talking about. That's fine. But in either case, we go and see some of these fjordy things on this area before we take off. I mean, this little boat is not a toy. This is a full-size boat, and this is, you know, what parts of these fjords look like. It's beautiful. But another issue after we left that campsite, I think was the turning point of the trip, is that we take this turn out of this mountain, and this whole northern area was just as windy as it possibly could be. We were, I mean, I'd say the majority of it, we were riding at like 45 degrees. I think the winds were probably sustained over 50 miles an hour. I don't know what mile per hour, but whatever can push giant bikes enough to make you ride at 45 degrees. And for a lot of it, we're just white knuckling it. And a lot of the time, it really didn't let up. So we are battling these winds. Scenery is still amazing. Hit some hot springs down here. There's an awesome motorcycle museum in one of their bigger cities around here. And keep heading west until about here, where we hit a little gypsy town, where an elderly gypsy couple knocks over Matt's bike, doesn't apologize, doesn't give a shit, goes into the gas station. His bike falls over onto his helmet, breaks off the chin guard. I know. So of course, you know, like reasonable people, we're like, we have to tape this on before we hit this F-road. So we duct tape it on because that's safer. And we hit this F-road. This is that F-road. So here's the continuation of Route 1, or the Ring Road. And we hit the F-road. I agree to do this probably to just get out of the wind. I think, to me, I think these coastal areas were where the wind was really getting us. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's give this a shot. I don't know what this little symbol here is that the map just added onto, but it probably means you're gonna die. So we head down. It is heading down. We are heading into nighttime, which in Iceland is not really nighttime because we were in like the summer solstice, so it was bright all the time. Another good reason to ride there. One of the few good reasons to ride there. So, F-road. Here is around where our campsite is, this little white dot. Here's where you're going to die. We head down here, and it starts off pretty good, right? It's pretty hard packed. I'm doing okay, and then it goes from hard packed to like loose gravel, to rocks, to bigger rocks, to hey, let's take you up and down big hills on big rocks. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Why did I agree to do this? And so around this area right here, we hit something that looks like this. This is not the exact area where we were, but there were about 10 signs, signs in all directions, all F-roads of 3 digits, and I just lose my mind. I lose my mind. I'm inconsolable. I cannot go any further. Luckily, we are about a mile from the campsite, so the guys were able to get those bikes over to the campsite on their own, which was great because I could not go any further. But here's around where the campsite is. The campsite looks like this. It is like a fantasy land. We had sheep and steam and mossy things and hot springs, and I'm just sitting in those hot springs all scared that I gotta go back there the next day like a sucker. And yeah, didn't get great sleep that night, knew that I had to head back out there the following day. So we get started the next day. I'm on bad sleep. First 15 minutes of the trip, we are on just slippery ass rocks, and the wind is hitting us. So for 15 minutes, I'm like, I don't know how much longer I can tolerate this road if it's just going to keep getting worse as I go. And around here, again, last thread X. This is actually a close-up of where I put my bike down. So this is facing north once we cross the water crossing. And I put my bike down around here. I see this water crossing. I am concerned about it, so I want to check it out further or have somebody take my bike over it. And I put my foot down. Ground was uneven, couldn't feel the ground, and I put my bike down. And it was just one of those times that was pretty cathartic. I don't know if you've ever had a time where you're just struggling to keep a bike up and keep it from fishtailing for so fucking long that you're like, ah, I could just take a little nap. I finally put this thing down. And it just reminds you that, you know, these bikes are supposed to go down, and you know, you're probably not going to get hurt if it falls on you. And I did. So here is after the water crossing. And so I am newly energized from eating shit. And we keep going. We keep going. The rest of the F-road goes off without a hitch. The rest of the trip really goes off without a hitch, except that Matt gets a flat tire on the way to Reykjavik, on the way back, which was actually pretty fortuitous because we got to an awesome campsite. So hereabouts is where the campsite is. And so he gets a flat tire. It's just past the F-road, so the rental place can actually come pick up the bike. We can tell them that we are past the F-road. Oh, I didn't mention before, the insurance doesn't cover you on the F-roads. So that was another reason I didn't want to get on it and was concerned, but we did get the flat tire after the F-road, so we pretended like it never happened. They came and got the bike. We were one bike down, but we were able to do it with the two. And we got to this amazing, well, it wasn't a campsite. We just camped on the side of the road, which is not allowed. But we had a flat tire, so we had to. Saw a double rainbow, photo only captured one. Took some photos that were not supposed to resurface and are not supposed to be public. So I hope you're not filming this and putting it on YouTube, Susan. And we made it back to Reykjavik. So yes, all because we said yes, we were able to make it back, did the trip, did all the things, made it back to ride another day. And it was an awesome time. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening.